Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Gaffigan.
Thank you, Vancouver! Thank you so much. It is great to be back here in Vancouver. I love Vancouver. It's a natural paradise. You know, it's a rainforest. Vancouver, British Columbia is a rainforest. It's great. There's a lot of hiking. Most of you walking around, you look like murderers. You know that, right? You're dressed like you just got rid of a body. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. And I know that at one point, probably during today, you're like, I don't want to do that. I'm tired. I gotta go to work tomorrow. But then you thought, I spent the money. And later on, you'll be driving home. Yeah, hopefully you'll be like, that was good. But in the morning, you're like, tomorrow morning, you're gonna be like, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. Why don't we just listen to his albums? You know what I mean, I can't believe we had to pay that much for parking. Jesus. Oh, thank you. That's my mom. I hope you weren't running late. I hate running late. That is the worst feeling, right? Running late. The only time you ever see a stranger, you witness someone running late, is in the airport, right? You see that stranger desperately trying to get to the gate, like. Whenever I see those people, I always have the same thought. I hope they don't make it. Now that may sound harsh, but how are they going to learn? How are they going to learn? No, I have been that person so many times. It is the worst feeling. It's a public shaming on multiple levels. Right? Because it's revealed to everyone in the airport that you're not equipped to be an adult. I don't know how clocks work yet. They're tricky. Everyone also gets a good glimpse of your fitness level. That's how he runs. It's been a decade. Give me a break. Doesn't help that I'm usually carrying a Wendy's bag. Did he stop for a Baconator? I get hyperglycemic! I've shown up to the airport 2 hours early and still missed my flight. I had to explain it to a gate agent too. I was like, I missed my flight. Oh, did you just get here? I've been here a while. I probably got here before you did. Did you go to the wrong gate? I was sitting right there, eating a Baconator. I actually watched you guys board. I forgot what city I was going to. That actually happened to me. I forgot what city I was going to. And I made the mistake of telling the gate agent that. I forgot what city I was going to, and she was just like, looked at me like, I hope you don't vote. Recently I was running late to a show in New York where I live, and I was scurrying down 23rd Street, and I started passing all these people that had their phones out, which is not unusual, but they were all taking a picture of something in the distance, but I was late. But eventually I was so curious, I stopped and I asked, I go, what's everyone taking a picture of? And this woman goes, the sunset. And I gotta be honest, it made me realize I want to kill a lot of people. I haven't. I've shown incredible restraint. I should receive a Nobel Prize for all the people I haven't killed. I'm not even a violent person, but that is where my mind goes. When a stranger does something I don't like, I don't think, that's annoying. I leap to, they should be dead. You should know, I wasn't angry that someone was taking a picture of a sunset. I was annoyed because I knew that photo would be used to bore someone. Some unsuspecting friend would have an iPhone thrust in their face. They'd have to act all interested. Oh, wow! I had heard of sunsets. I'd never seen one. Do you have any pictures of fireworks? Every fireworks display, there's always a couple people taking pictures, right? Or filming it. You always want to go to them and go, don't do that. You're not going to need it. No one's ever been like, were you at the fireworks? I was. Can you prove it? Well, as a matter of fact, I can. It's good to be here. I'm wearing a blazer tonight. And I'll tell you why I'm wearing a blazer. For a couple reasons. One, because I respect you, the audience. I'm also wearing a blazer to hide my man boobs. As I look out in the audience, I see some guys who also have man boobs. Fellas, you gotta cover those up. No one needs to see those. No one wants to see them. Ew. Gross. Ladies, none of this applies to you. Don't ever let someone shame you for what God has given. You know, if we are created in God's image, that would mean God has man boobs. You must have created those on the day he rested, right? Well, like, I am wiped out, 6th grade. Let there be man boobs. But just barely, enough to destroy the guy's self-esteem. What's interesting about my man boobs, some of you are like, really? More man boob jokes, huh? I felt like the first couple fell flat, but go ahead. What's interesting about my man boobs is you can only notice them when I wear certain clothing. Like if I wear a shirt that's made of fabric. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. It did reach a point 2 weeks ago. This actually happened 2 weeks ago. I looked in the mirror and I was like, all right, that's it. I gotta do something. I'm gonna do planks. And then every day for the next 14 days without fail, you know what I did? Nothing. And then I put on a blazer and I was like, problem solved. It's all part of my fitness program. Goodbye, man boobs. Hello, blazer. I don't have a fitness program. We know, Jim. We're aware. I don't even come. You know, for a while, I used to count walking as a fitness. Like, we've gotten to that in society where how many steps did you get? Stop that. It's like, we're just moments away from like, yeah, oh, you worked out? Yeah, I blinked a bunch. I think I did like 30,000 blinks yesterday. So I burned at least 2 calories. So I'm in good shape. Now I just observe other people's fitness programs, and some of them are insane. Right? You hear about these guys like, I get up at 4 a.m. and work out. I get up at 4 a.m. You know what? I get up at 4 a.m. It is to pee. But that's also about commitment and an enlarged prostate. You know? I don't want to brag, but more than one doctor has told me my prostate's pretty big. Yeah. Multiple doctors and one dentist, by the way. I got a root canal. I woke up, the guy's like, your prostate's huge. Thanks. I get that a lot. I do get up every morning at 4 a.m. And at 4 a.m. the last thing I want to do is get out of bed, but I do it because when I peed the bed, my wife was furious. I did it once and she was like, you're an alcoholic! I believe it's called an enlarged prostate. I'm not an alcoholic, but I have started drinking whiskey. I like whiskey. I don't know how long I can say started. You know, it wasn't last week. That sounds better than I've continued to drink bourbon. I don't drink whiskey every day. You know, that would be ridiculous. It's just at night. And I only have 2 whiskeys, just 2. And after that, I lose count. Because I like a high proof with a heavy pour. Of course, there's different types of whiskey, right? There's Scotch, there's Irish whiskey, there's Canadian whiskey, right? And what makes Canadian whiskey so unique is it's polite. And it says sorry. There's no English whiskey, you know why? Because they were dicks. Jim, that makes no sense at all. Canadian whiskey often associated with rye whiskey. Now, we've all eaten rye bread, and I think universally it's no one's favorite. Like, I love a pastrami sandwich, but I've never bitten into a piece of rye bread and been like, I wish I could drink this. I enjoy bourbon, which is, has to be made in the U.S. with 51% corn and consumed by a man who's out of shape. I don't drink vodka because I'm not a communist. I love all the whiskey names, right? The whiskey names, they even the fancier brands, they sound ridiculous. Pappy Van Winkle. William LaRue Weller. They sound like kids that you hated in school, right? And then some whiskeys have like manly associations, right? Like Caribou, Crossing, Stag. My favorite whiskey name is, there's a whiskey called Chicken Cock. That's the name, Chicken Cock. I don't know how they expect people to go into a bar and order that. What can I get you? I want some chicken cock. Excuse me? I'll have a rum and coke. It's called chicken cock because when the brand was introduced, that's what, the word rooster wasn't used. They would call a male chicken a chicken cock. And then eventually people were like, you gotta stop saying that. And that was the start of political correctness. A lot of people don't know that. I love all the history and culture, right? Supposedly the term cocktail derives also from the chicken cock. Cocktail was the drink that someone would have in the morning after a night of drinking that would allow you to stick out your tail and face the day. Your cocktail. And I hear that and I'm like, how much were these people drinking? I mean, I have 2 drinks and I need to take a week off. There's a whiskey in America called Handy. It's a very expensive rye. So sometimes it's not unusual to hear someone say, I paid $500 for a Handy. Which seems wrong, right? Everything's inappropriate about it. Knob Creek. Excuse me? There are children here. But I love the terminology. Like, they don't, like the bourbon drinkers, they call it juice. So if I drink a bottle of bourbon every day for 7 days straight, technically that's a juice cleanse. I don't understand it. Drinking whiskey, it just makes me feel like a man. Like, I'm not trying to alienate the women here, but fellas, wouldn't you agree that whiskey is kind of like our Shania Twain song? Come on, fellas. I'm going out tonight. That is ridiculous. I started to collect whiskey, which is kind of a red flag, right? Were there any warning signs of an addiction? Well, he did start hoarding it. But people collect things, right? Some people collect sneakers, some people collect action figures. In a way, whiskey bottles are like action figures filled with liquor. And similar to action figure, each whiskey has their own personality, right? So it's like, oh no, Willett is taking on Blanton's, oh no, I have a drinking problem. But it's gonna be okay. That's sad. If you hunt for whiskey, if you collect whiskey, you will hunt for whiskey, which sounds active and almost dangerous, but it just involves browsing in liquor stores. Armed only with his credit card and the knowledge his wife didn't know where he was. Jim forages into whiskey's natural habitat. I've started to watch YouTube videos of other men hunt for whiskey. Now that may sound pathetic, but believe me, it's much worse. In these videos, this guy, this middle-aged guy, out of shape, if you can picture that, he goes into a liquor store and he just comments on the whiskey selection. He's like, that one's all right, that's overrated, that's a good deal. I'm watching an alcoholic shop. And it is riveting. And informative. And after I watch a couple of these videos, I realize a porn addiction would be less embarrassing. What are you watching? Nothing. Clear browser history. I do really enjoy going to liquor stores. That's a red flag, right? But I love how liquor stores always have creative names. You know, like Discount Liquors, Bob's Bargain Emporium. Like, you'd never eat in a place called Discount Beef. I love how liquor stores know they don't have to try. We're coming, you know? They could name a liquor store Loser Emporium or Loser Depot. We'd be like, well, I gotta go there anyway. Maybe it's a French name, Loser Depot. I love the aesthetic inside a liquor store. It's almost as if someone was like, what if the whole store looked like the back room? There's a certain silence you only find in a liquor store, right? People always walk around all serious, like they're in an art gallery. Interesting. Maybe this will make the pain go away. I appreciate the unbiased advice of a liquor store employee. They're like, well, what we're trying to get rid of, what we like. And liquor stores always have a staff pick, which is different from a bookstore staff pick, right? Because in a bookstore, you feel reassured that someone at the store has read that book. But in a liquor store, you just wonder, how much are these people drinking? That's one of the occupations that will suggest liquor, right? A liquor store employee. There's also bartender. I can never get a bartender's attention. With a waiter, you can always give that check signal, but with a bartender, you can't be like. The highest status suggester of liquors, of course, is the sommelier, right? Which is a French word meaning know-it-all. I just love the fact that when we go out to eat, we're so intimidated by the task of selecting a fermented grape juice. We need a private tutor. I'd like to use my lifeline. Do you have a functional alcoholic here who's maybe tried all of these? Someone who could be condescending but also make me feel cheap? Is that person here? I like watching people interact with the sommelier, try and steer them away from an expensive one. Oh, that's an interesting choice. But I'm looking for a wine that only has 2 digits next to it. Preferably the first number would be a 1. Do you have anything from that region? He talks a lot about drinking. If you ever worry that you drink too much, here's all you have to do. Just go to an airport bar at 8 a.m. I guarantee your only takeaway will be, I'm doing all right. Because at 8 a.m., airport bars are filled with people getting loaded. And they're not being shy about it. Yeah, I'll have a Jack and Coke. You know you're in public right now. The Today Show is still on the TV. Al Roker hasn't done the weather and you're loaded. Everything's a little out of place in the airport. You ever been walking to your gate and you hear beep beep and there's like a golf cart behind you? Am I in the fairway? What do you want to play through? Occasionally there's a bird, just one bird, flapping around the gate, panicked, obviously concerned about a connecting flight. I always look at that bird and I'm like, I hope that's not someone's emotional support bird. That's something you see more frequently, right? The emotional support animal. It used to be kind of rare. Now the airplanes have dogs. And I respect the fact that some people benefit from an emotional support animal. I'm fine with that. I'm talking about the other 99% who are obviously lying and are bringing their allergic animal on a plane because they feel like it. It's like, I can't eat a peanut on the plane, but you can bring your Great Dane. This is my emotional support Great Dane. We put a lot on dogs, right? First man's best friend, now mental health professional. You know, dogs are like, I didn't even sign up for the friend thing. When are you humans gonna realize I just like to smell other dogs' pee? I fly a lot. I've yet to see a dog turn to a nervous passenger and say, you got this. You are safer on this airplane than you are in a bathtub at home. Recently, I sat next to someone who had an emotional support cat. I love cats, I have a cat, but I've never described a cat as supportive. You know, it's like, what kind of jumbled up anxiety are you processing where you benefit by being ignored by your cat? It's the indifference that calms me. That's what'll get me through the flight. But it's pretty standard, right? Those emotional support animals. I don't know how I'd feel if a pilot had one. You know? Hey everyone, it's your captain here. Ruff, ruff. Oh, that's Rusty, my emotional support dog. You see, lately I've been struggling with suicidal ideation. And good old Rusty has been counting me down. You know, lately Rusty's been telling me to shoot the president. What's that, Rusty? The passengers are laughing at me. I should teach them a lesson. All right, well, buckle in, Rusty. We're going in. I spend too much time in the airport. The airport's the only place where when you get there, your only objective is to leave. You walk in an airport, you're like, I gotta get out of here. When can I leave? That's why a flight delay is so painful. You're like, I can't. I must leave. You know what's sad? I don't know if you know this. There are people that work at the airport. That's their job. 5 days a week they schlep to the airport, navigate through security, and then don't take a flight. The airport is their final destination. What crime did you commit in a previous life to have to work at the airport? I understand air travel is a miracle. We're traveling through the sky, but everything surrounding it seems unnecessarily painful. I'm convinced that there's a conspiracy, right? Like the Wright brothers, I think there was a third brother. Like Wilbur and Orville were like, we're gonna invent air travel, and the other brother was like, I'm gonna make people take off their shoes. Why shoes? It could be belts. I just want them to take off some clothes. Security, that's the worst part of the airport, right? People, it affects people, airport security. People become jaded. You know, like, oh, this guy gets to go ahead of me just because he can't walk? Well, I guess that's fair. I mean, I can outwalk too. I don't even like it when the pilot cuts in line. I'm like, hey, Captain Crunch, get in line. We all got a flight to catch. And I think pilots should be treated with respect. I do, but like on an airplane, they're treated with a certain reverence, right? Like the flight attendants, they're like, the pilot's talking. Your father's speaking. No one wants to hear from the pilot. Pilot's always like, hey everyone, it's your captain here. All the passengers are like, shut up, Dad. I'm trying to watch TV. That's all air travel is now, is watching TV in the air. We just watch our squares, right? We watch our squares, and then when the person moves their seat back, they're like, okay, you know, your chair is also my TV. It's very sad. It's fun when the pilot uses the bathroom on the plane. They always barricade the aisle with a drink card. Please remain seated, the pilot's taking a dump. We go through all this security, and the last line of defense against a terrorist attack is a case of Diet Coke. That should stop that. Of course, the pilot uses the bathroom on the plane because the bathroom in the airport is another layer of hell. Isn't it? Every time you walk, it's a sensory nightmare, the airport bathroom. You always walk in, you're like, I wish I could never see, hear, or smell again. What are you people eating? It's like, it's lit like a grocery store, but somehow feels haunted. You walk around, a faucet starts, so there's a hand dryer. There's always one guy in a stall, right? On a phone. Yeah, that sounds great, yeah. Let's get lunch, I'm hungry. Ew. How long have you been in there? That call couldn't wait? Who do you hold in such low regard? And you feel comfortable chatting between flushes and farts. You'll hear that announcement in the airport. If you see something, say something. What if you smell something? I think someone died in the men's room. You should raise the threat level to brown. Now? Jim, you're too dirty now. It's dirty. I saw you guys have these here. When you're leaving the men's room, they have the touchpad survey. Who in their right mind is voluntarily touching anything in that hellscape? I'm always regretting not being in a hazmat suit. It's like, I guess it's better that it's automated. You wouldn't want someone there with a clipboard. How'd it go for you? Seems like you were in there a while. Would you describe it as satisfactory or very satisfactory? It's usually 3 buttons with faces on it. Like a happy face, a calm face, and then a sad face. No horrified face. No, like, this is a warm memory I'll never speak of. Who's pressing the happy face? Great time. Next time I'm bringing my children. Recently I read an article. Who am I kidding? It was an Instagram reel. That sounds less impressive. I was doom scrolling and the algorithm spoon-fed me some propaganda I'll repeat to you. In this Instagram reel, this doctor, well, I think he was a doctor. He looked like a doctor. This guy with glasses said that every cell in the human body replaces itself over the course of a year. So, in a way, every year we are brand new. And I heard that and I was like, it doesn't feel that way. Maybe I'm on a 5-year plan. Because my body is falling apart. Yet for some reason, I am delusional about not believing I appear my age. I went to dinner with my 3 college roommates, and after the meal we took a picture and I was emailed the photo and I was looking at it and I was like, how is it possible that these 3 guys look like crap and I haven't aged at all? These guys look rough, and look at me, I appear what, 20, you know? I felt sorry for these guys. They look so old. It looked like I was photoshopped in the picture. Like if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, who's the young man with his 3 gay dads? It's weird, I don't understand it. When I look in a mirror, I don't see someone in their 50s. I don't like what I see. I just see a hideous young man. You know those movies where an adult goes undercover as a high school student? In my mind, I'm like, I could do that. I could definitely do it. Maybe not freshman, but I could be a sophomore. Walk down the hallway, check out the Riz on that kid. If you don't know what Riz is, that means you're sus. I only do that joke to anger my 18-year-old. He's telling me to do it, he's like, Dad, you can't do that joke anymore. I'm gonna do it every day of the rest of my life. If there comes a point in parenting where the greatest joy you can feel is knowing you've annoyed your teenager. If you can annoy and embarrass them, it's like winning the lottery. It would be fun to go back to high school. I tell you, if I did go back to high school, academically, I would struggle. Because I tried to help with middle school math, and I was like, oh, this is not how I remember it. Did they introduce new numbers? Because you know what? I want you to do this yourself and show me your work. And then explain it to me like I don't understand it. In my mind, that would be what would give me awake if I went back to high school. My idiocy. Like, they'd be like, we gotta hold this moron back. Poor guy's balding at the age of 15. Did you see his man boobs? Oh my God. I'm not smart. I know I'm not smart because I have children. And I'm not trying to imply that people who become parents are stupid. An argument can be made. It's not a great investment. Financially, emotionally, physically. You ever take a good look at the parent of a teenager? They look like they just walked away from a car accident. I'm fine. Parents of teenagers always sound like they're hiding something. We're good, everything's great. They sound like they should be in a hostage video. They're treating us well. You know that child tax credit? I think parents of teenagers should get a teenage crazy credit. You know, it's like, that woman's a nightmare. That woman has 3 teenage daughters. Oh, she's doing great. I have 5 children, aged 12 to 20. I feel like I'm living in a psych ward. I mean, I'm convinced they're trying to make me crazy. And when you have to, there's a unique stress you encounter when you have a teenager. Because when you're parenting a younger child, you see, you know, the main goal of parenting is preparing them to be normal, functioning adults. But as they become teenagers, the countdown clock starts. And as they get older, you realize they're not ready. They're not ready. And all the rules and help that you've tried to give them just disappears. All the boundaries you've established just fade away. Like all the stuff that's yours is suddenly theirs. On a daily basis, I'm like, why is my son wearing my coat? That's my coat. Why is my 15-year-old daughter wearing my blue jeans? Where are all my socks? Why am I sticking this gun in my mouth? Once I did that joke, and this guy in the audience yelled out, he goes, "It gets better!" I took a good look at him, he was wasted. I guess it doesn't get that much better. It's sad. That's right. My wife and I, we've given each of our children a phone so that we can reach them. They don't answer. I called my son, he didn't answer. I walked by his room, he's lying on his bed looking at his phone. I just called you. Yeah, I'm playing a game. Oh, here's another game, no phone. 90% of my parenting is confiscating phones. And then making a snide remark. I'm essentially a repo man for Verizon. Sometimes I take their phones and I hide them, and then I forget where I hide them. Then I have to call their phone, and then, only then, do they answer. It's sad. I can't get used to some of the teenage logic. Recently, one of my kids came up to me and goes, "Hey Dad, I accidentally ordered Uber Eats." He said it with a straight face. Like expecting me to empathize. Like I'd be like, "Oh, son, we've all done that. If I had a nickel for every time." And I was like, "That's not a thing. What are you talking about?" He goes, "It was an accident, I swear." Like what, you accidentally opened the app, accidentally scrolled through restaurants, chose an entree and accidentally charged my card? How would that happen? Whoops. With fries and whoops. My wife gets annoyed with the way my children communicate with her. Like, she'll be like, "Look, I told your son to be home at 6:30, and he texted back, yup. That's rude, isn't it?" I was like, "Yup." I mean, "Yes, my liege. Our progeny doth disappoint me." We just, my younger kids just were on spring break. I took them to Puerto Rico. Total disaster. I don't know what the family trip thinking is. It's like, I'm always like, hey, you know, we bicker and argue. Let's take this on the road. How would you like to not listen to me in a hotel room? Maybe you should spend too much time on your phone on a tropical island. I do these family trips for my children, and I know I do it for my kids because we never do anything I want to do. Every day I'm always like, what are we doing? Oh, that sounds horrible. How much does it cost? All right, let's do it. Okay. My kids have a great time. They're on vacation. Yeah. I don't know what they're on vacation from. Do you really need a vacation from 8th grade? My son goes from barely doing homework to doing nothing. I guess he earned it. The worst part is they think I'm on vacation. They said that to me, though. Well, you're on vacation too. No. I'm an unpaid volunteer. You see, your mother, she's the cruise director. And I'm an intern who can't be fired because I'm sleeping with the boss. During every family trip, there's always a moment where my wife does want to fire me. She'll come up to me and she'll be like, you better change your attitude. I'll try. Nope, this doesn't affect my year-end bonus. You can pay me any less considering I pay for absolutely everything. My wife hates that joke so much. Because of course it's not my money, it's our money. And if I continue to do that joke, it'll be her money. It's the waiting on family trips, all the waiting. I'm always waiting to take someone somewhere I don't want to go, to do something I don't want to do so I can take them back to the place I didn't want to stay. It's waiting. Because when you're waiting to do something you want to do, that's called anticipation. When you're waiting to do something you don't want to do, that's called fatherhood. Jim, you're a brat. You're a brat. It's weird. I'm not good. That's what life has taught me, is I'm not good at, you know what I mean? Like academics, relationships, parenting. Not my thing. I'm a decent gardener and I like to drink bourbon. I'm turning into my mother, you know? Jim, that is ridiculous. You ever have a friend mistake you for being smart? Recently a friend asked me, he goes, hey Jim, what are you reading now? Now? What am I reading? I was so confused. I was like, were we supposed to be reading? Was there an assignment? Because I probably need an extension. I mean, I do read. You know, I'm just a slow reader. Like, the last book I read, I remember thinking, I wonder what took longer, me to read it or the author to write it. I don't like the book shamers, you know, you haven't read Moby Dick. Oh my God, you haven't read Moby Dick? Here's all you have to say, just go, I don't know how to read. Instead of you feeling bad, they'll feel horrible. And if you really want to treat yourself, have them teach you how to read. It takes a couple weeks, but it's worth it. You come across as a quick learner, they realize they can change a life. It's like a J-Lo movie. I've never seen a J-Lo movie, I assume that's what happens in it. I don't know, it's sad. Started to listen to audiobooks, which feels pathetic, right? A grown man being read to. They read to me. I grab a blanket and lie down, but first I go potty and brush my teeth. Then the voice reads me a story. They said goodnight to the moon. After I listen to an audiobook, I'm always tempted to say I've read it. I'm like, no one's gonna find out. Oh yeah, I read that book. Oh, can I borrow it? I burned it. I burned all my books. But after you listen to an audiobook, you almost have to explain why you didn't read it, right? You have to be like, I listened to the audiobook, but while I was listening, I was reading a different book. I was also sketching with my feet. All right, let's talk about the eggplant emoji. There's no easy segue. Believe me, I've looked for one. Speaking of eggplants, have you seen the eggplant emoji? I believe the eggplant emoji has to be the best thing that has ever happened to the eggplant. Because you know, one day, eggplant, they woke up and they're like, wait, we're popular now? People like, what's so surprising about the popularity of the eggplant emoji is that the eggplant, the vegetable, is absolute garbage. It's a dealer's vegetable. I'm sure there's some Italians here, they're like, what are you talking about? You dip it in egg and then some breadcrumbs. I'm not doing that. You could deep fry a newspaper with taste cut. To be clear, I've never used the eggplant emoji. I don't even feel weird. I feel weird calling it an emoji, right? Because an emoji would indicate that it symbolizes an emotion, like a happy face or a sad face. But the eggplant emoji just communicates harassment. Like you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope there's no kids here. Because we all know what the eggplant emoji stands for. And I tell you, if any part of my body looked like an eggplant, I'm going to the hospital. And that's coming from a guy with a pretty big prostate. Not too far. How did the eggplant earn that distinction, right? Like, was there an award ceremony? The nominees for most phallic vegetable or fruit are the banana, the cucumber, the eggplant, and the zucchini. And the emoji goes to, it's eggplant. And as the eggplant walked to the stage, this is the eggplant's first nomination. Many don't know if the eggplant is a vegetable or a fruit or a Minnesota Viking helmet. And when the eggplant got to the podium, it would be like, I didn't really prepare anything. I didn't think I was going to win. I should thank my manager, Alex, and my girlfriend, the peach emoji. In a way, the eggplant emoji is the worst thing that could have happened to the eggplant. You know, I like to garden. I garden. I know some people don't think gardening's manly, but gardening is something I do while my husband golfs. I enjoy gardening, and last summer I grew some eggplant, and I grew too much of it, but because of the eggplant emoji, I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't put a couple of eggplant in a basket and head over to a neighbor's house. I grew these for you. This one's for your wife. I couldn't do that. I flew in last night. I loved it. Was a direct flight, thank God. Took like 10 days. I do a lot of connecting flights, which are it's just volunteering for a delay, right? It's like, would anyone like to sit here for a couple of hours and count losers with neck pillows? If you have a neck pillow, do me a favor, don't put it on and walk around the airport, all right? That's an embarrassment to our entire species. They call it Group 8 yet? Sit down. Connecting flights, usually smaller planes. Have you been on a plane where you can't stand up? Like you get on and you're like, oh, okay. All right. This is better than driving. All right. Wait, is this an airplane or an attic? God forbid you get a window seat. You're like, oh, okay, all right. Oh, it's fine. I'll just spend the entire flight being curious. All right. Oh, I wish I had a neck pillow. Connecting flights, smaller, older planes. It's like we stopped making small planes. For some reason, we get a new phone every year, but we're still flying in planes from World War II. Admit it, when you see that ashtray, it's not encouraging. You just open it up and you're like, is that a Virginia Slim? You've come a long way, baby. You get that joke, that means you're old. Jim, don't be a jerk. I was on a connecting flight. The plane only had overhead bins on one side of the plane, so it was very precious overhead space, right? You don't want to gate check it back. So I got on and I saw that there was an opening. So I went to put my bag there, and this guy behind me was like, hold on. You're putting your bag there? And I was like, yeah, and he gave me a real dirty look. So this was in first class. So I put my bag up there, and then I walked back to coach. And I turned and I looked at the guy, and he was like, what the? And I was like, what the? And he immediately went towards the cockpit to get a flight attendant so he could tell on me, because he was a bitch. And once I saw that he was engaged with a flight attendant, I left coach and I went back to first class where my seat actually was. And I sat underneath where I put my bag, and the guy came back and he was like, what the? And I was like, what the? And then he sat down right next to me. That's a true story. And then I took out my phone and I showed him a picture of a sunset. You know who that guy was? You're not going to believe this. You know who that one guy was? Vladimir Putin. I swear to God. I love when people say that. I swear to God. I swear to God. Because you know God's up there like, don't bring me into this. Don't involve me in your lives. The only time you should be allowed to swear to God is if you're in a court of law or you're a teenager lying to your parents. I swear to God. I swear. My teens, they don't even say swear to God. They say, on God. On God. And these guys thought they were challenging me to a sword fight. On God! I'm not a deeply religious person, but I am Catholic. Any Catholics here? Some Catholics. I can't speak for the other Catholics, but I am Catholic today because I truly believe that's what my wife wants. Anyway, she's my higher power, and she's definitely a punishing God. She didn't pressure me or anything. She just said, this is what you believe now. It wasn't like the Spanish Inquisition. There was an implosion, do this or I'll kill you. As a result, I talk about being Catholic in my stand-up, and sometimes people think I am deeply religious, or some Catholic expert, when the reality is I'm just a guy who's afraid of his wife. I am a Eucharistic minister. Now, if you don't know what a Eucharistic minister is, don't feel bad, because I'm not really sure either. And I do know that a Eucharistic minister will assist the priest during Mass, deliver the Eucharist or communion, which Catholics believe during church becomes the actual body of Christ. So it's very important and something I should have nothing to do with. Now you may be wondering, Jim, why would you do that? It's my wife. Indirectly, it's my wife. As you may know, my wife had a brain tumor. She's totally fine now, but she had a brain tumor, which she likes to point out. Thank you, I didn't remove it, but... She had a brain tumor, which she likes to point out she didn't have before meeting me, you know? And after the tumor was removed, she spent some time in the hospital, and then she came home, and she wasn't strong enough to go to church. So she would send me to church to get the priest and bring the priest home to our apartment, and he would give her the Eucharist and communion, right? And so one Sunday I went over to get the priest, and the priest asked, how would you feel about becoming a Eucharistic minister? And I said, I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't have time to take classes or change everything about myself. And he responded by mumbling something in Latin and waving his hand like he was in a Harry Potter movie. And I was deputized. And I can honestly tell you, I felt like I did something illegal. But I figured I'm doing this for my wife. This is for my wife. So he gave me the Eucharist in this poker chip holder, probably not the technical term. And I walked home, and I went into our apartment, and I proudly announced to my wife, Father Sacano made me a Eucharistic minister. And without missing a beat, my wife said, oh no. Which is not encouraging. But so we did this for a couple of Sundays until she was strong enough to go to church. And then I figured, all right, I'm retired. My Eucharistic ministering days are in the past. But that Christmas, we went to Florida for Christmas. And on Christmas Day, we went to church. And by some miracle, we showed up early. We were like 10 minutes early, and we were sitting there pretending like we're a normal family. And then this woman went to the lectern and asked, is anyone here a Eucharistic minister? And in that moment, I prayed to God. I said, please God, no. But my wife raised her hand like the Judas she is and said, he's a Eucharistic minister. And I turned to her and I said, I'm retired. Now, normally, the Eucharistic minister will only assist during the Eucharist. There's a certain structure to a Catholic Mass, right? It goes a lot of talking, Our Father prayer, then you get the Eucharist, then you get the hell out of there. No, that's probably not how they teach it in the seminary, but that's how I understand it. So I figured, okay, I'll start, around the Our Father prayer, I'll get ready. But this is before church, and the woman from the lectern came up to me and my family, and she leaned down to me and she said, will you come with me? And I wanted to say, no thanks. Because I knew it wasn't good news. She was going to be like, we have a free buffet. But I couldn't say no, so I went with her. We went backstage to the priest's dressing room, probably not the term. And she opened this closet and showed me these robes, and she said, our Eucharistic ministers wear a robe. And I wanted to say, well, I prefer to be undercover. But again, I couldn't say no, so I put on the robe, and then she gave me assignments. Like, she had me light all the candles in the church. So I went around lighting candles like I was the ghost of Christmas past. And my 5 children are just laughing at me. Because I'm, dressed like I'm in Sister Act, right? I should point out, this is the only time they've ever paid attention in church. And it hasn't even started yet. So then church starts, and they make me sit on the altar like I was in trouble or something, right? So I'm sitting on the altar, just looking out, and we're not from this town, right? This is in Florida, so I'm just looking out, and occasionally I would see someone in the congregation look at me kind of confused and be like, is that the Hot Pocket guy? Why is he dressed like an altar boy? And then finally Mass, the Eucharist happened, and there was another Eucharistic minister, a woman in her 80s, kind of a kiss-ass, right? They gave her the prime location, right? They stuck me way in the back, and I started to realize I was getting more people. I was a better draw than her. And I saw her after church, and I was like, hey, good game, you know what I mean? You'll get them next Sunday. And so I'm delivering the Eucharist. There's a certain process, like you say, body of Christ, and then the person says amen, and then you plop it in their mouth. I'd like to remind you, I didn't want to do this. But the Bible is full of reluctant heroes, right? And so, but that's how one way to receive communion. You open your mouth and kind of stick your tongue out, which is, I call it the Rolling Stone technique. You know, like their logo. And then another way to receive communion is you come in with the "you're in good hands, Allstate" thing, which I think is kind of passive aggressive. It's kind of a way of saying, keep those filthy fingers away from my mouth. Right? And so I'm delivering communion, and occasionally I would get one of these, you know, which means Wakanda forever, right? No, that would indicate that someone has not received their first communion, usually a kid, but they also love Black Panther. I mean, it's a great movie. There's two of them, I know. And so anyway, I was going along fine, and then I look up and I realize my family's in my line, which feels like a conflict of interest, right? You know what I mean? And my kids, not only that, my kids are kind of smirking at me. Smirk upon smirk upon. I'm in, Dad. I'm in, Dad. And then, of course, then it's my wife who just looks at me like, you're not very good at this. You know what I mean? And you know how like you say something but you mean something else? When I said body of Christ, I was saying, you're the reason I had to do this. And when she said amen, she said, you've ruined the Catholic Church. And it was in that moment that I realized, prior to me being forced to be a Eucharistic minister, that the Catholic Church had an unblemished record. I didn't know, you know? But my wife's influence is pretty significant. I never miss church when I'm home. When I travel, I'm less consistent, meaning I never go. But I think God understands. God should understand. God was never married. You know, it's easy to be all-knowing when you don't have a wife. I created the earth, and stop talking about yourself. You're making that noise when you breathe again. Things would have been different if God was married, right? Like the 10 Commandments. Honey, these are my 10 suggestions. Mind you, these are not set in stone. I want to run them. Oh, you're busy? I'll come back. Sorry. If God had a wife, he probably wouldn't have rested on the seventh day. I am wiped out. Oh, you want me to clean the garage? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll change the light bulb. Let there be light. Let there be mangoes. I'm a compliant husband. I believe a happy wife, happy life. I do believe that, right? And all those people applauding are women. Even the most compliant man's like, I have some dignity. No, I'm a pretty compliant. Occasionally I'll be assertive. I'll say, no, I don't want to do that. In fact, I'm not doing that. And these moments of non-compliance at home are affectionately referred to as Jim's in the mood. Oh, you don't want to do exactly what I want? You must be in the mood. And she will tell anyone about my mood that would like to hear about my mood. I've heard her on the phone with friends, you know, yeah, Jim's in the mood. To the FedEx guy, my husband's in the mood. Like I'm a dog that needs to be trained. It's definitely a double standard. Like if I ever made mention of my wife having a mood, there would be a public execution. And of course she's human. She has mood, she has feelings, she has emotion. I understand female biology. She keeps track of it on her phone. Men should have access to those apps. We could use them like weather alerts. Yeah? Oh, this weekend's gonna be brutal. Big storm coming. You know what? I'm gonna head to the basement now. All right, that is all for me. Thank you so much for coming.